Is 8:35. The government's long-awaited defence investment plan will finally be published this morning. You will hear the Prime Minister announce the details at 10:30 here on Times Radio. He'll unveil an additional £15 billion for defence over 4 years. The Times has been told it includes a one-off £2 billion increase in day-to-day funding this year to help cover the cost of operations and training. That was, of course, part of the reason that the former Defence Secretary, John Healey, resigned from his post. But there is no date for increasing defence spending to 3% of national income, up from 2.4% at present. Well, let's talk now to the former long-serving Army Colonel and former Conservative MP, James Sunderland. Good morning.
Good morning, Kate.
Do you think, we've been talking about this plan throughout the programme today and trying to grapple with the direction of travel versus the money question. Fundamentally, when you look at what we're hearing about this plan, do you feel that it prepares this country well enough for the wars that we might have to face in the future?
Well, Kate, it's a step in the right direction. The Defence Investment Plan, which is due to be announced today in Parliament, which in itself is a good thing, that will keep the Speaker very happy indeed. It's a massive bit of work. It's long awaited. And the reason it's so important is because we need, as a government, or at least the UK needs as a government, to send the signals to industry that it's taking defence seriously. These things have long lead times, long planning times. There are many capability gaps. And of course, the important thing with the Defence Investment Plan is that this is funding over and above that steady state 65 billion pounds of routine defence funding. This is all about looking at what is needed, looking at what's missing from our arsenal, looking at the threats, and making sure that there's enough cash now for the MOD to invest in what it needs to keep the country safe.
And do you think that we've got the right assessment of what those threats are? Because there are some people who say, scaling back our investment in our Navy, for example, and changing the way that we think about the Navy, maybe to those unmanned vessels, that might address what we're seeing right now in conflicts around the world, but it might leave us exposed in the years to come if things change. Is there a risk there?
Yeah, there's massive risk. You can never have everything you want. And ultimately, what we need to do as pragmatic defence analysts is to make sure that we have as much as we can of what we actually need. We're fighting now on 5 domains, not 3. So it's land, it's sea, it's air, plus it's cyber and it's space. And these threats are multiple. We're being attacked every day in cyber by Russia. We've got incursions all of the time from ships, from aircraft. You look at proxy wars across the world. We are living in a very difficult and a very dangerous age where competition and congestion and all of these strategic factors are playing havoc. So it is very important that we identify what we need. We've got some very good analysts in the MOD doing that right now. We know exactly what the capability gaps are. We need to invest much more heavily in AI-enabled technology. We're looking at targeting, remote weapons. We're looking at drones, £5 billion announced for drones in the Defence Investment Plan today. So you look at what the threats are. We need something of everything.
And when you've raised a really interesting issue there, and we had the boss of Helsing on earlier on this morning around 6 o'clock talking about drones. Is there an ethical conversation to be had here about the use of AI in targeting, about the unmanned sort of drones that we're now talking about investing in? Does the government need to have that conversation with the public, do you think?
I think there is an ethical dimension, but this is the direction in which we are moving. If you look at what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, you look at how drones are being used. It's been referred to, of course, as a digital kill web. Drones are being used in two-way methods, there and back. They're being used for surveillance. They're being used for targeting. We've taken the human out of the targeting chain in many cases, hence your question about ethics. We've also got kamikaze drones, and there is no question at all now that technology has moved so quickly and so fast just in the period of the Ukraine war, to the point where we now need a massive rethink as to how the UK, NATO and its allies are going to think about defence in future. And let's be clear, the Prime Minister himself has said that Russia could attack NATO by 2030. Therefore, we need to be ready. We need to be spending the right amount of money. We need to be protecting ourselves. We need to be thinking about some sort of Iron Dome system as well to stop precision, long-range weapons, perhaps cruise missiles coming into UK airspace. There is so much we need to be doing. And to be frank, the £13.5 billion announced by the Treasury for the Defence Investment Plan falls well short of the 28 billion requested, and it's not enough.
Can I ask you finally, James, about the people element of this? Because we've talked about drones and autonomous weapons and the kill chain to an extent. But there's also the people here. And, you know, we've had a couple of months now where the military has taken a bit of a bashing in terms of the reputation of the amount of money that we're putting in here, whether we are doing enough, whether we are capable enough, whether we can really join in some of these big global conflicts. And maybe we've been shocked into realising that we can't. Do you think the government needs to or could do more to encourage people to join the military and to see it as a rewarding career? And if so, what could they do in that space?
Well, Kate, lots in that question. I did 26 years as a regular officer. I then became Member of Parliament. I loved my time in the army. I would do it all over again if I had the chance. And I would commend to any young person listening to this, go and do it. It's a brilliant career, brilliant opportunity. But there's also a more serious side. We've got to keep our country safe, our allies safe. There is clearly risk involved with that, which I was able to reconcile myself quite happily. But this is a dangerous place. The world is changing all of the time. You look at what's happening in the Middle East, look at Iran, look at the situation with Israel, look at Ukraine, proxy actors, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthi, the list goes on. And ultimately, a country like the UK, which is one of the 5 members of the UN Security Council, we're a nuclear power, we've got global responsibilities, we are a global power, we can project forces anywhere in the world. We have to be able to protect the British people and protect our interests. And as we saw in the Middle East with HMS Dragon and with other shortfalls that were played out in the world's media, it's really, really obvious that we're not currently where we need to be. And if you look in particular at land, at the land area, I'm an army officer, you look at how much equipment we've gifted to the Ukrainians, we've absolutely hollowed out our land capabilities to the point now where we don't really have an army that's going to be able to deploy if it's needed tomorrow. So we've got to rebuild the army in particular. We've got to invest in munitions. We've got to invest in new weapons, invest in new tanks. We've got to invest in AI-enabled technology. We've got to do the whole thing. And it's really important if we are to keep our people safe, and that's the primary aim of government, that we make the right investment and spend enough money.
Well, we'll find out in a couple of hours' time how much of that the Prime Minister is willing to commit to. James, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is James Sunderland there, long-serving Army Colonel, former Conservative MP.